This is this month's update of Steve Aguilar's 1972 Buick GS, and it looks like the paint job has been sold after everyone's been asking about it. It's gone.
Yeah, we sold everything.
The chassis, rolling chassis, and the whole nine, huh?
The paint, all of it. Yeah.
What really happened here?
We stripped everything off. So we thought it was going to be a super solid car, so we didn't want to blast it. Just keep the metal as thick as possible. Got it down as close as we could. Paint stripped some of it, did a lot of that, and it turned out there was a few things on it. They got a little Bondo happy with it. It was just a smooth skim coat over everything, but we're getting there. So
even though it had a really nice blue paint job, I mean, there were some defects in it, but it was a really, nice job. It was never meant to be blue. It was going to be a new color.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say? I can't remember if he said or not. But if you've been watching and following along, we're trying to stay true to Steve, and I know some things Steve wants to hold back on. So if Steve said about it on the last update, then that's great. And he hasn't yet, then we won't say it yet.
Which we need to know in the comments why Steve's video got so many more views than my typical videos. So we just need to, if there's a reason why you watched that one and more people watch that, we just need to know what that is.
Are we going to have to start asking the customers to come in the day of these update videos?
I don't know. I'm waiting to see what Greg's video does because I think Greg's going to outshine me too. So,
I think just a new face is the difference.
I thought it was my award-winning personality, but maybe that's not it. So, so at this point, we've got wheel tubs. The wheel tubs are a little different in the back shape. So we put these little transition pieces in that will spot weld in and trim the inner fenders down so it all meets together and then spot weld it to the floor. We've got brackets in here for a console to be mounted. We've took the door skins off and repaired some of the dents and dings and a lot of that stuff that was in it that was hidden behind the brace that's inside the door because there's a giant brace in these doors. So we've got that part. We're getting the bumpers are all kind of set in place. You can see this is an old drawing of some, I don't even know where it came from. And the car's not green. Don't think we're not doing, I can assure you it's not green. But as you look here, you can see there's kind of some floating headlight surrounds. This is all a body color piece. And so we're looking at making those a different color. There's a grill bar that would bolt across the hood and split here. So when you open the hood, let's see, when you open the hood, it would go up with the hood. And so we're going to look at making the piece go over that and go back, and then it would carry into a closeout piece that would go behind here, and then there'd be another piece that goes here that would make it a legacy car and would also straighten up the radiator because the radiators in these cars, because the core support's so much different. The other thing we're going to do is work on making some air intake passages through here to let fresh air get into air intakes on both sides. With this thing running a Holley ECU, we don't have a mass airflow sensor, so we can run dual air inlets. This is an LME, I don't know, some crazy engine that we had for mock-up, and we're doing the same engine, just not with a supercharger. So we're working on getting some custom headers from Ultimate Performance, or we're gonna have to make them ourselves. I'm not sure if the production units they have that are bigger diameter are gonna work. We still have to join the core support to the Chevelle inner fenders because those are quite different. So we're getting that stuff together. Firewall is cleat-coated in place. Tesla Gen 1 booster fits, which is cool. So I've done some learning on the Tesla stuff and learned, I guess those are also Honda deals. And I've learned that there's a difference in the Gen 1 and Gen 2. Obviously the style and shape and all that's completely different, but this one fits. The Gen 2 is hitting the inner fender because it's so much bigger. With the cars that I've driven with the Tesla boosters in them, I almost think they're too strong. So when people say, oh, the Gen 2s are stronger, I don't know if you need to be that strong. So
it's going to get a cover on it, obviously.
We're going to do some stuff to gussy it up and make it look a little better. But it's nice to know that it fits as an option in the future because we tried to do it before and it was going to get into a full pedal assembly and all that type of stuff. You can see that we took some parts from rusty Chevelle fenders and incorporated these inner fender mounts from a Chevelle into the Buick so that we can mount Ring Brothers hood hinges and mount the they can re-spot weld back to the fender like the old ones, and then they mount the inner fenders into the Buick as well.
So what you were saying, just for those people that are following along with this build, 1972 Buick, that the inner fender wells can fit from the Chevelle, but what you're doing here is doing some custom modification to match them to the fender.
Well, we just use the Chevelle part, so it bolts right in. We've done it before, like on Cliff's Oles, where we made some little adapter pieces and put them in there so we could maintain the paint job. On this one, we knew we weren't painting it, so I removed these parts from the Chevelle and I removed these parts from the Buick and put the Chevelle ones into the Buick to mount those and to mount the hood hinges, because the hood hinges are different on a Buick.
Yeah, so there's benefits, and especially if you're going to be painting the car, you can make all that happen.
Yeah, and so you could modify the stock piece, but you could modify the Buick piece if you didn't have the Chevelle pieces, but we have a boneyard of Chevelle rusty stuff, so out back. So it was pretty easy to pick the ones that had rusty fenders that had good fender supports.
Okay.
And so we put that stuff in there. It looks like we're going to make these, I'm going to try and make these scoops into air intakes for some fresh air as well. So this is a naturally aspirated motor, so air intake temperatures that matter even more. There's a lot of space in this thing up front. We're going to probably manufacture our own bumpers for this front and rear. We're working on renderings and getting that stuff all made to look nice at this point. Going through renderings of different aspects, you can see that we get rid of the pinch weld that's at the bottom of the cars, that goes under there, and then you can the rocker extensions, which it really only extends at about 3/4 of an inch to where the old pinch weld used to be, and the old frame used to stick past the pinch weld. So now you can see that the frame really doesn't stick past that, and so it sits with the rocker extensions on the car to get rid of that ugly pinch weld that's at the very bottom. And so we have them mocked up. We're working on ideas for rocker moldings for the rockers and the front fenders and the rear quarters. We're probably going to cut the fender here and make that line go across instead of having it go all the way down like it would have stock, just to give it some custom flair. Other than that, that's really what we've been working on. So just getting everything ready to start doing some custom designs. I think we're going to shave these rain gutters and go to something similar to what's on Chad's. I mean, what we call Swiss cheese, not Chad's. And make that where it's embedded, it's pull maxed into the top, and then we're going to machine a piece that goes on here that would set up here that would be a chromed or nickel piece that would give you the idea of the moldings on the rain gutters, but it would be much more flush and smooth to the body. So it maintains that detail, but it doesn't stick out and do all the things that a factory rain gutter does. But it doesn't eliminate it where it starts to look like Kojak.
Okay. Wow. It is great to see how far along this thing is. It's crazy.
It's crazy. We've been working hard.
I mean, so today, at this day, what are you, a month and a half, 2 months into it?
I don't even know. It's gone by quick. I don't think it's 6 weeks. I think it was supposed to be, the open house was, what? The open house was supposed to be 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
And it's been 2 weeks since then. So maybe we're 5 weeks into this.
It's crazy. So. Yeah. And the paint's gone. And if you've been following this build, and if Steve in the previous video said what color it was, comment down below and let everyone else know what color Steve said it was going to be, because I'm not sure if we're supposed to say it, but if he said
we know that everybody watched Steve's video, so they didn't, that one killed it. Unlike,
you know what? It's something different. The blue was great. It was overall an eye catcher. And again, it was just great to have a customer owner seeing the car for the first time, literally within weeks of being dropped off, and how far it's been, especially for him, because he's had multiple cars built. And I think just hearing how he felt about it, like how fast it was going. He even made a comment to where he's working with Sean and design and stuff, and they were kind of the painter also. Everyone's a little overwhelmed with how fast you're moving with the car because they're needing, you know, you're setting the tone on the things that they thought they were going to be waiting for, and you're not.
Yeah,
You're not making them wait.
We tend to move a little faster out here.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's great. So, what else are we working with on the backside here with the bumpers and what have you?
Getting ready to just get it laid out so that we can manufacture the bumper to fit the same shape as the body. You can see how different all this
looks
is,
like
and
not good at all.
it's not even close. And then we're gonna make taillight bezels that will go in and be smoother. He's got some renderings for some smoothed up bumpers that we're looking at doing, and but we got to get kind of everything in place to get that together. I think we're gonna machine a basic mock-up of the bumper to come in and change the shape of this, because all this stuff is kind of the angle that it goes out, where it's angled this way, needs to be straight, and so that the bumper can fit the way we want it in here. And so I think we're gonna start moving that stuff around.
It's crazy how these cars, what was acceptable back in the day when they designed all this stuff at GM and through all the different manufacturers, just how these big old bumpers, just how they hang off the car and how they mate up against the lines and stuff like that. It's
well,
crazy.
And it's amazing how many people think that they were perfect when they were stock, and you're like, it's not even close.
No.
Like, not even close.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, but yeah, getting all these previous repairs that are kind of sketchy done. There's a couple little dents and dings that, you know, like we've gone through both door skins at this point. You can see that this is all smoothed up here. You can see the other side is getting cut in. You can see this other previous repair that was done. There's some ugliness here that needs to be dealt with, where it looks like I don't know if they hammered the high spots down after it was wrecked or something. So we're getting ready to smooth this up. This door skin was terrible. That's why we had to pull it off and straighten that back out. There's a bunch of stuff on the hood. We're getting ready to separate the skin from the hood and go through and kind of address some things on the hood structure and get stuff like that going.
So I mean, you know, we've kind of talked about this like on the red Chevelle with that video that we did that actually did pretty weird because there was a lot of stuff that I think opened up a lot of people's eyes. Do you feel that, you know, whenever that paint was done on this blue paint, maybe it was the 80s, maybe it was the 90s, I mean, who knows when it was done, 2000s, early 2000s, but do you feel that it was up to that year, that standard of what they had available at the time? Or, you know, at what point is it just like people just kind of just cut corners radically?
I wouldn't say it was cut corners. I just think there was a skim coat over the whole car, and sometimes if you don't do the metal work properly enough, you've got to, in order to get it straight panel to panel, or what we would call panel flow, you've got to put some extra mud in other spots so that, you know, because a lot of times the doors are concaved and the fenders are kind of concave a little bit. I mean, you can see a little bit here of how that stuff kind of flows together, but like tri-5s and stuff are terrible. There's just things where a lot of stuff in the middle of it, they're not even in the same trajectory. As it goes down the side of the car, the fender has a bow, the door has a bow, and then the quarter has a natural bow shape to it. And so a lot of guys do the crappy guys do the cave and pave, where they kick the middle of the door in and then cover the whole thing in Bondo to make it smooth. This was just kind of, they did all these repairs. I have no idea when it was painted, whether it was painted in the past 10 years or whether the color would lead me to believe it was somewhere in a 10-year-old paint job. That's kind of a 10-year-old color. Yeah. But there's going to be...
I mean, the reality comes down to it could be the person, the body shop and paint shop that was responsible for it, but it also could be the difference of whoever was owning the car at the time and their budget and what
they were, all that. How far. It's the level of finish work that went into everything. For most, I mean, I've seen that wasn't bad at all.
No,
I mean, not at all. It wasn't excessive. It was just it wasn't probably all that wasn't needed to do it, but that's just how some people do it, is they just put a slight skim coat over the whole car. Because the reason is if you just put Bondo in the low spots and you sand over it, the Bondo is going to sand at a much more aggressive speed than the metal if you run the sandpaper over it. So if you're going over it with metal to Bondo, when the sandpaper goes over it, you're going to make a quicker low than you did in the metal. Because if you tried to sand through the Bondo all day, it'd take you all day to go through the metal. It would probably take you all year to go through the metal with sandpaper. But the Bondo, you could get it down pretty quickly. And so getting that where it's absolutely straight is not possible. But getting it, you want to see it when it's in Bondo where there's just the minimal amount. And there was a little bit more on it than there should have been. It's not. But we're not talking half inch or some of the stuff that we see. Sometimes we see some pretty thick Bondo where people are like, we're just not going to fix it. We're going to Bondo it.
And I want to point out too, because I know some people have reached out and said, hey, you know, we like, you know, what you guys are doing there and the craftsmanship that's going into and the care and the dedication into it, but you're not a body shop. Like, this is for the full builds that you're doing and what have you. You're not looking to bring in a car to just do a bunch of sheet metal work to it.
Yeah, we just build entire cars. I mean, that's our whole goal. That way we can control the quality of the metal work, the quality of the paint work. We work with paint shops that do paint work for us because I don't want to mess with the mess. I don't want my, you know, we're knowledgeable in body work, but that's not my first strength.
This is just a check off the box of lists of things that has to be accomplished to get to the caliber of cars that you're building.
Yes. And then every car you just have to learn isn't going to be a super duper Riddler car, and some cars might be time to pull out every stop, and every car, you know, that's why you get the most expensive cars, because nobody said stop on anything. And then you know, then there's a bare minimum for us where we're like, yeah, we're going to fix that before we Bondo it, not just Bondo it and paint it.
Right. So pretty much that's where we're at with the car, and we'll be looking forward to another update on it coming soon. And if you let us know what you guys think about this car. Again, it's a Buick. It's something different. It's not a Chevelle, but it's still, you know, same platform as a Chevelle, and that's why it's getting a Legacy Series treatment to it.
Yeah,
so.
It's getting all the cool stuff and probably a Legacy Series Plus. So it's got some new things we get to try on it. It's a Buick. It's a different body style. It's going to look good sitting on the ground. I'm just excited to see another car that gets on the road. That's really my deal anymore, is just see them on the road, see people enjoying them. You can guarantee that their satisfaction and happiness comes from getting behind the wheel and doing car stuff with it and not worrying about trophies, not worrying about, you're just in it for the fun.
Yeah.
Like, let's just have fun with the car.
Yep. Enjoy it. Get it to the gas station.
If your idea of fun is making it perfect, then we'll make it perfect. If your idea is making something that's nice, that's going to impress your friends, we can do that. And if your friends are like my friends, it doesn't take much to impress them. So, but that's our whole goal, is just to make stuff that's really fun, and you can have fun that way with it. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching. If you need to get a hold of Roger, just hit him up through his contact page on the website. And until the next one, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the support.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.